The White House joins CNN in denouncing Fox News radio host Mark Levin after he attacked the Jewish heritage of two CNN anchors. On his radio show this week, Levin, who is also Jewish, described CNN anchors Wolf Blitzer and Jake Tapper as self-hating Jews during a diatribe criticizing the network's coverage of Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza. Not only is Fox News aligning with those who fan the flames of hate, Fox is paying their salaries, Andrew Bates, Deputy White House Press Secretary, said Friday. Lying to insult the pain that families suffered in the Holocaust had absolutely no place in America, none, Bates continued. Sadly, this is not the first time in recent months that the Fox News host made sickening remarks about the Holocaust. Levin also claimed Blitzer's parents weren't victims in one way or another of the Holocaust, which is not true. Blitzer's parents were impacted by Nazi concentration camps, and his grandparents were killed in the Holocaust, according to CNN. CNN condemned the comments on Thursday evening as wildly uninformed, inappropriate, and shameful, and said Levin's anti-Semitic rhetoric is dangerous, offensive, and should be universally denounced. Levin responded to CNN's criticisms on his radio show Thursday, claiming the network was attempting to intimidate and silence him. He said CNN is one of the most pro-Hamas media outlets in the country. He also made similar pro-Hamas comments about MSNBC. Levin hosts a weekday radio show and a weekend television talk show on Fox News Channel. The Hill has reached out to Fox News for comment. Wolf Blitzer and Jake Tapper are both television personalities I have no affinity for. That's something I'm going to make clear right now. But even in not really liking either of those guys, I can't sit back and say that what Levin said made any type of sense at all. CNN and MSNBC are mainstream outlets that are slightly less right-leaning than Fox, for example. But to call them pro-Hamas is totally absurd. And really, this is part of a pattern with Fox where when you want to criticize members of a group, you have to get someone from that group to basically attack the people that are part of that group. So, for example, a lot of times when you had protesters from BLM, for example, you would have someone like Candace Owens or Larry Elder go on Fox and talk about how violent they are and, you know, their complaints are not valid, or otherwise try to like skirt away the opposition by using someone from that same either ethnic group or religion to do that. And that's what Levin is doing, except even more extreme, because to say that Jewish hosts are self-hating because they work for a network that isn't entirely pro-Israel, and I don't even believe that CNN is at all condoning Hamas. I don't believe that in any capacity, but there is something really sickening about trying to gatekeep a religion, which is what Levin was doing. And you have him flat out lying about Blitzer's parents, which is really the most sickening part of this, because this man's grandparents died in that horrible scourge, complete blemish on world history, 80 years ago. And now some commentator gets to say, oh, that didn't happen. He wasn't affected by this. This didn't occur. So CNN was right. He was wildly uninformed. It was inappropriate and shameful. I don't know if the rhetoric is dangerous. I'm not going to say that. It's offensive, and it should be denounced universally, but of course it won't, because, you know, Levin will retreat to his bubble and say that they're trying to intimidate and silence me. What silencing are they doing by responding to him? Did they go to Fox and say, hey, cancel Levin's show, the radio station, pull that off as well? No, they didn't. They said, you are funding someone that says this type of stuff, and you should feel bad for it because it is anti-Semitic, actual anti-Semitism. I find it funny. If you don't support the Israeli government after it has a terrorist attack, you condemn the terrorist attack, but you admit the government has done some things that have led to the climate that have caused groups like this to spring up by their very poor treatment of Palestinians. You're anti-Semitic for saying that. But then when you call Jewish people who happen to work for one of the three major political networks, I'd say, self-hating because they're, again, just by virtue of happening to work for this network that you don't like the coverage of the war or of this conflict by, that's not anti-Semitic? What, because you're Jewish you can say that kind of stuff about them? Just hypocrites. But I do love the part where they're trying to silence me. They're trying to censor me. By responding to him. You know, it's so funny that he'll talk about someone like Carter being weak, former President Carter. But Levin's showing his weakness right here. Like, you get condemned by CNN, who you don't like, the White House, who you most certainly don't like, and instead of responding to their claims that you both lied about this man's background and you were being anti-Semitic by calling other Jewish people self-hating because they work for a media company that you don't like, you don't say, oh no, they're incorrect because this person said this person did that, you know, like actually for like as far as responding to them by addressing the substance of their claims. They're silencing me. I'm being censored. God, just totally spineless. Like, I said this before, Levin is one of only two conservative commentators I listen to, the other one being Bill O'Reilly. And the reason I listen to O'Reilly is because O'Reilly's an old school Republican. He has a lot of views that are, you know, right wing, but he actually will occasionally say something that I can agree with the validity of. He was talking about how stupid it was to get rid of Kevin McCarthy and then put somebody else in who's going to act exactly like him. He's someone that can make good points because there is some fairness in his analysis of things. Levin is someone I watch for the pure comedy of his program. Never once have I turned that on and expected to hear something that I'd never heard before or that has enlightened me, because his show is literally just new world event thing is happening. Let me say the Democrats aren't doing the right thing or are with the enemies or whatever. You even saw his complete partisan hackery with his newest book. I'm not even going to say the title of it. It's called One Political Party Hates America. But this is a guy that, you know, his whole bread and butter is saying outrageous things and basically getting away with it because, for the most part, the other news stations and the people he's talking about are too busy doing their own thing to pay attention to him. But in this case, it did get him some attention in a way that he really shouldn't be proud of. But instead of addressing the substance of what they're saying, he'd rather sit here and play coward. They're trying to silence me. God. So, he is, he's not someone I haven't listened to his show since this conflict with the Gaza, with Hamas and Israel started. I don't think I'm gonna listen for a while because this is it's too partisan. Like, you have Democrats who love Israel, like Hakeem Jeffries. That's a guy that called Israel I think the sixth borough of his district, and you're gonna call him anti-Semitic? You're gonna call, literally, like, he can't even, and this is the thing, he can't even point to something that Blitzer or Tapper said that was like pro-Hamas, like something they themselves have said, no, their network is like this, so they are hating of their own religion. Like, what? I honestly feel really bad for any Jewish person that is not pro the Israeli government, because you get lied on, you get slandered, you get accused of things you didn't even say or do, you get guilt by association. I truly think that one of the biggest actual causes of anti-Semitism today is telling someone that because of their religion, they are supposed to have this undying, unwavering loyalty to to a government that they're very likely to have no affiliation with whatsoever. Like, because you're Jewish, you have to support the Israeli government with no questions asked. I don't even do that with my religion. I'm Catholic. I'll be the first one to tell you the Catholic Church has a bunch of, predators in it. As far as the ones that are in leadership positions, not like regular people that just worship. But, it's like, it's crazy that we're like, he'll try to say it's anti-Semitic to criticize a government, but it's not anti-Semitic to call people who disagree or are working for a network that's trying to pretend to be fair about this conflict, even though they're probably more pro-Israel than Palestine, but whatever. Calling them self-hating for just working for a network that's trying to be neutral is not anti-Semitic. That's why I say you can't make this up. So I'm glad he got repudiated. it's not going to cost him anything. He's going to get his name in the headlines for a few days. Some people will tune in to hear his shenanigans. But I hope the next time he gets covered like this, he actually has a good response, because this was not a strong rebuttal.